The season opening race at Hangtown saw all of the best riders take their shot. Veteran Honda rider Kevin Windham. Kawasaki Supercross champ Ryan Villapoto. Defending motocross champion Suzuki's Ryan Dungey. But in the end, it was Chad Reed and his Honda that reigned supreme at round one. A long, hot summer of racing has only just begun. The world's fastest motocross riders head to Texas for round two as the 40th anniversary season of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship rolls on. We're in Wortham, Texas for round two of the 2011 Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the Rockstar Energy Drink Freestone National. Hello everyone and welcome to a great Memorial Day weekend motocross celebration. Jason Wygant joined of course by four-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig, and we're excited to bring you coverage of the 450 class of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing. Here are the big picture storylines we're watching here today in Texas. Chad Reed goes out and dominates our opener 1 week ago from Northern California in Hangtown. He goes 2-1 to win the overall. So good news for the Honda camp there. Bad news for the KTM division though. Mike Alessi goes down in practice. Didn't race last weekend, will not race this weekend. Scratch him from the championship contention. And today, one of the qualifiers that you gotta watch, putting in fast laps, Ryan Dungey on the Rockstar Makita Suzuki, your fastest rider this morning. So we turn it over to you, Jeff Emig. Ryan Dungey looks fast. Chad Reed coming in here with momentum. A great weekend to watch some great motocross racers.
Yeah, it is, and I'm telling you, Memorial Day marks the start of summer. We're here in the middle of Texas. The temperatures are skyrocketing, but the fans have really came out in droves. There's a great support here. The track's interesting. It's going to be really tough on the riders. It's going to get roughed. It's going to be hot, and overall, it's just going to be an exciting day of racing. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll give you the idea of how we run this series. Motocross 411, we will run two motos. We've already completed the first one. We'll show you the finale right now. 40 riders in each moto, and they are all 30 minutes and 2 laps in duration. You combine the scores from both to determine an overall winner for the day, and in case we have a tie from the two races, the tiebreaker is the better score in the second moto. So that's how we race motocross. We'll show you the track here at Freestone, Texas. Jeff Emig, take us on a little ride.
Well, we have a difficult track. I mean, it's windy, hot, dry, all that other stuff, but the track is really wet and moist, and they bring in some sand and put on top of what is actually is a pretty good soil underneath, pretty good hard base. Riders seem to like it, but it's made the track extremely rough. It's challenging, and a lot of the middle part of the track is wet and the edges are dry, and so the riders are really fighting for the edges where it's not so deep, and it really pulls the horsepower out of the engine.
See that highlighted section of the track. We'll take you through it here, Jeff, on the GoPro lap.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. Look at some of these sections in the middle of the track where it's really wet and rutted, and then you get kind of to the outside. It's a little bit drier, a little bit easier, but this is earlier today. Kyle Chisholm on the Moto Concepts Yamaha. This is the section just before the finish. There's this steep single jump into these sand whoops, and then they made these last 4 actually jumps as you come into the finish line. Overall, extremely challenging track. It's hot, it's windy, and the riders are really fearful of this hot weather.
Man, that looks like fun. All right, let's show you the highlights from moto number 1. Off the start, Ryan Villapoto buried his teammate Jake Weimer up front, bunch of other riders down. Things would get pretty crazy early because of surprise. Christian Craig out front of the Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda on fire.
Yeah, and he was on fire. He was really loose. He was really fast, but behind him, and the beginning of the moto was Christophe Pourcel on the Moto Concepts Yamaha that came alive, made some passes, and then things started to unravel, and he started dropping quickly.
Yeah, he got around Reed, then Reed gets him back. Now Dungey's going to get by, and Pourcel would eventually pull off the track after losing this spot to Dungey. The word is not comfortable with the bike setup, but he has revised it for Moto 2. A little more on that later. There's Pourcel pulling off. Disappointment for the Frenchman, who definitely showed some speed. Now Reed, clear of Dungey, clear of Pourcel, goes after your leader. And Craig did his best to try to fight Reed off. Reed would get him. Bad luck for Kevin Windham, who had just broken into the top 10, runs into mechanical trouble, so the Honda man is out. Villapoto was way back early, as we mentioned off the start, would fight his way through to a podium spot and outduel Craig and Millsaps down to the end to get third. Dungey second. Chad Reed takes another win. This guy is feeling the flow right now and feeling the heat, but also feeling the cheers of the fans. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates with our Progressive Pre-Race Report. Aaron?
Kevin Windham's been calling himself a high-tech redneck ever since he's posted a tweet saying he's been getting his family ready for a motocross holiday this weekend. He said he feels a little bit like the Clampets. He's got all his family, all of his friends. But you guys, Kevin Windham, he had a whole engine replacement after that first moto. A tough deal. They don't know what the problem is. They're going to take the engine back to the shop and diagnose it.
Yeah, there's Windham's tweets. They got it all. They got his gear guys.
Glad they got the goldfish here.
Most importantly, hey, the goldfish and water out here in Texas probably got the best setup of all. It is hot out here today, and we're going to get it going here. Moto number 2 on speed of the 450 class.
Can be a yellow one there, Wygant.
Yeah, that's Brett Metcalf on the 24. A couple riders tangled up on the outside of turn 1. Medi's going to lead him around the Rockstar Makita Suzuki and his teammate Ryan Dungey with him. And Dungey carries the momentum and takes the lead. Chad Reed right there in 3rd. Jake Weimer not too far back in 4th, but right now, Ryan Dungey leading him around.
And as they start to sort out here and establish the positions, looks like Weimer in 4th and possibly Ricky Dietrich. Yeah,
I think you're right.
In 5th on the Yamaha. So
look at Reed and Metcalf, pair of Australians battling for 2nd. Reed on the 22, able to secure that spot. Metcalf right behind him. And Dietrich going to try to run with Metcalf here. You see Dietrich on the left side of your screen, the blue Yamaha. Converted over, was an off-road racer, did some enduro cross and all that technical riding. Now a motocrosser and doing a good job.
well, clearly you can see that there's 2 riders so far this summer that are totally dialed in and ready to go racing each time the gate drops. Talking about Ryan Dungey, your leader, and Chad Reed right here. These guys already have 3 or 4 bike links over Metcalf. Man, they're going to be hard to beat this summer if they keep starting and everything like this.
Well, it was like this in Moto 2 last week from Hangtown. The difference is, where is Ryan Villopoto? Another bad start for the number 2. He was battling with those guys a week ago, but he can't battle them today if he's starting as far back as he is. Still Dungey, Reed, Metcalf, Dietrich, and I think we're seeing Davey Millsaps now showing his face. There's the number 18 in the hunt as well. He has gotten around Weimer. How about Ricky Dietrich? We talked to him right before this moto. We said, hey, good job, top 10. He's like, nah, I'm not happy until I'm in the top 5, and that's where he is right now.
Well, here comes Kevin Windham. Yep. He's going to jump in there probably about 5th or 6th. So good start after not finishing that first moto. We'll see if the advantage of not having to ride in the heat and be dehydrated and fatigued, if he can use that to his advantage, or if not finishing that first moto just gets him off of his rhythm and, you know, he kind of doesn't have the flow of the track. We'll see. But Kevin Windham, certainly one of the most exciting veterans out there, and right now he's putting the hammer down. Looks like
he better.
Villopoto.
Yeah. He's got to put the hammer down. He's got Ryan Villopoto right behind him, and it's Michael Byrne on the Butler Brothers Suzuki. Here is Villopoto going after Windham. Windham 14 and Villopoto number 2.
Well, and notice, well, this is Villopoto. See if he gets up the inside, just over the yellow markers, finds the hot line, takes the spot from Windham. But you can already see here in Moto 2 that there's still some wet soft spots, but the riders are able to use more of the track because it's dried out some. And so in those spots that were really wet and deep that they tried to stay away from because it would bog the bikes down, now you can really use the full track. And Villopoto just may need it as he comes through the pack.
Aaron, what have you got going in the pits?
Talk about frustration for Tommy Honbean from Texas. Tommy, here Moto 2, you find yourself in the pits. What exactly went on?
I got something, my gas tank broke. We just got these aluminum tanks made. Something broke. The cap was tight. It was sloshing gas everywhere. And I stink right now, so kind of sucks. But, you know, I had a good start to the year, 8, 8, 7 the first 3 motos. Come back, take the weekend off and use it to our advantage and ride as hard as I can and come back next race.
Tough luck for Tommy Hahn today.
Wow, what a bummer. Tommy had it going, had some solid top 10s, building a foundation for success this summer, getting the mojo working and all that stuff, and then at his home race has a mechanical. And that's part of it, but really disappointing for Tommy Hahn.
Man, we've seen a lot of those this year. A lot of bad luck for these guys. A lot of mechanical troubles early in the season. They're all trying new parts as we transition over to this motocross tour, round number 2. You're watching Weimer, who you did see get passed by his teammate Villopoto. Villopoto going after Millsaps. Wyndham going after Weimer. We got battles all over this racetrack, but it's all behind Ryan Dungey and Chad Reed, who are leading it. Ryan Dungey leading the way, but very early here in the heat of Texas. It's the Rockstar Energy Drink Freestone National. Round 2 of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing. And the two contenders are right up front early. Dungey on the number 1, Chad Reed in the 22. Just getting started.
Well, we'll see if Dungey, maybe in that second in the first moto, conserved any energy. We'll also see if he made some changes to the bike that are going to help him here, and we'll see just how he can respond. Chad Reed has been really determined, and let's not forget last week at Hangtown, Chad Reed, the second moto, just dominated it, and Dungey's got to be feeling that one, so he's out for a little bit of redemption here this moto. Looking at Millsaps here on the Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha in 4th, and then there is Villopoto, who's been making a bunch of moves. Take us through this Villopoto. Yeah, watch this here for Ryan Villopoto. Watch as he tries to go wide and gets a little too much weight on the front end of the Kawasaki and almost buried it. You know, it's like if you're water skiing and you kind of sink the tip. You know, it's kind of had that same feeling to the bike. Unbelievable what these guys have to deal with, especially early in the races. They're trying to make passes, don't know where the good lines are. So Villopoto is 5th, like we mentioned, behind Millsaps and Metcalf. We're a 4th and 3rd. Behind him is Dietrich, 6th. Wyndham, Weimer, Craig, and Andrew Short round out the top 10. Earlier we were taking a look at Gallo and Winterstrom, which were running 31st, 22nd. Now we're coming back to Brent Metcalf here, who got the start. Pretty solid ride. Once again, you know, he's coming off of those injuries, but fitness, he seems to be ready for the task. Maybe not quite running the speed of the leaders, but a strong ride right now. Mention that hose you see popped out of the back of his jersey there, Jeff. What do we got going there? A few of the riders have chose to wear, you know, some sort of like a Camelback system where they can have some cold water or something, you know, to kind of wet their whistle and sip on during the moto, kind of keep their hydration. But at this point, you're in the second moto. You really, you know, lay it all on the line. I wasn't a big fan of that. I tried that a couple times during practicing, but you know, it never raced with it. Oh, Millsaps coming after Metcalf and getting him. So Davey Millsaps moving into a podium position early. He is now 3rd. That'll drop Metcalf back to 4th. And it has been a renaissance for Davey Millsaps over the last month. Now, Millsaps started the year strong last year and then crashed at our race in Maryland and basically lost a kidney. And he recovered from that injury, but it has really affected his training program. Aaron, what did you know there on the number 18?
Well, guys, apparently he had just a phenomenal week this week. He had 2 days of riding back in California. They ended up testing the shock on Wednesday and then a new pipe on Thursday. So a lot of time on the bike. He says he feels extremely loose coming into this track. And this is one of those tracks where you need to ride loose to conserve a little bit of energy.
Yeah, Millsaps has a totally revamped training program. I found out because of the kidney problem, he was training hard. He was still tired. Wait a minute. Chad Reed has lost a bunch of ground. He had just turned in the fast lap of this moto and we thought he was closing on Dungey, but now we find out he has lost whatever he has made up. So a mistake from the 22, and there you see. No Ryan Dungey in sight. Well, let's see how he rebounds here and see if he feels any sense of urgency or if he says, okay, second's fine. This is a long summer, 24 motos in total. So you think about it, 24 main events. What could happen here if he stayed in second and Dungey stayed up, he'd lose the overall. Now here's Reed. This is coming into a turn. This is, I believe, off of that step-down tabletop. In that situation, just knowing where he went down, if he landed off the tabletop a little wrong, hit one of those soft sections, hit a kicker and went down, see like in a similar section there. And Millsaps is on the move right now. So is Villopoto, so is Metcalf. So Reed's got to be able to regroup or he might lose more positions. Look at Villopoto on the Kawasaki, taking a long way around that section. Now tucking in behind Metcalf. Just taking a mouthful of Texas dirt right now, too, when you're trying to battle. You see some of these sections have kind of, you know, funneled into where there's one fast line, and then the track will open up in a certain spot. So you really have to time your passes, and if you got to eat dirt for a while, you got to get yourself to that passing point, because you want to be right on the rider's rear tire if you're trying to make a move. And this time around, Metcalf turns a 212, Villopoto a 211. So Villopoto just a little bit quicker. Nice move by Villopoto on the inside, doing exactly what you're saying. He's getting right there in the roof zone, right behind Metcalf.
And to put it into perspective, Dungey turned a 2:08, fastest of the moto, and Reed was a 2:17. So they were pretty close. So that, close to a 9-second fall there. And which 9 seconds doesn't seem like a lot when you hit the ground, but hey, this is what these guys do for their profession, right? They have a passion for this, and just incredible ability to remount even after a hard fall. This is the corner here where Reed went down.
Yeah, these guys are battling for tenths of a second, so you lose 9 seconds in a lap with a crash. Big difference. Wyndham making the move on Dietrich, so much better performance from Wyndham that got the bike figured out, and he is now up to the number 6 spot. Dietrich says he wants top 5s. He is close. But hey, when you got guys like Wyndham and Villopoto coming up from behind, not easy to hold those guys off. There is Wyndham, and he's got a lot of fans out here. Makes his home in Mississippi. So the Texas races are generally considered his home track races, and you can hear the fans cheering him.
Wyndham's always a crowd favorite, so
we can race in Alaska, they'd be pumped.
Yeah, you look back here to Weimer, who had that great start, kind of fading off the pace a little bit, and then the 144 of Christian Craig, and what a great day overall that he's had overall. So keys to the race for Christian Craig. Don't wilt right now. He's you can see that he's putting in a pretty strong ride, so don't make any mistakes. Keep it in, and then believe that you can run with these guys also, which he's already proved that he can.
Aaron, what do you have on the 144?
Right as he was lined up at the start gate, he said, I asked him where that performance came from, and he had said to me he'd been working with Ryan Hughes over the past couple of weeks, and he said it's definitely all paid off. He's not acclimated to this condition whatsoever, but he said he's definitely adapting fast. He's very proud of himself for Moto1.
Well, this guy looks great on the bike, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Rhino's got to be proud. We'll stay with this battle. When we return, can Reed run Dungey back down? Wednesday on back-to-back Car Warriors. At 8, a serious injury may cause the challengers to throw in the towel early. Then at 9, a conflict between Itchy and Rhino may cost the All-Stars the build. Back to Car Warriors Wednesday night, beginning at 8 Eastern on Speed. Back-to-back shows there. Back-to-back Moto2 showdowns for Ryan Dungey and Chad Reed. These guys battled a week ago at Hangtown, and it's on again here today in Texas. Mistake for Reed. He's trying to run Dungey back down.
2 laps ago, Dungey was at a 2:08 and Reed turned to 2:06. I mean, Reed stepped it up to the next level. This last lap come through, Dungey was the 2:06 and Reed the 2:08. So now Dungey totally has responded, and as he starts to get into lap traffic, he's feeling the effects of all of his hard work paying off right now. It seems like he's starting to ride with a little more sense of urgency, trying to nail this overall, tie it up in points, then that is considering that they go one or he gets a first and Reed ends up second.
Oh, look at the traffic these riders have to deal with. This course is getting more and more difficult as we show you the gap between Dungey and Reed. There it is. Reed comes through. It's actually a full 11 seconds now. Like you said, the time Reed had made up on the previous lap, Dungey got right back. So that's first and second. Then we'll drop back and show you Davey Millsaps, the number 18. What I was saying earlier, Millsaps had to redesign his training program due to the kidney problem he had last year, which he incurred in a crash. Found out he was anemic. The more he trained, the more tired he actually got instead of getting stronger. Said now he's got to eat a lot more steak, got to eat more red meat. So he's in Texas. No kidding, he's feeling strong. A lot of steak out here,
Yeah, and he's going to have to be really covered, how he handles his fitness, and all that stuff. So definitely showing. I mean, something has clicked. Millsaps is on it, as is the number 2 of Ryan Villopoto. He's starting to come alive here.
How long, Jeff, can Villopoto have finishes like this and not be frustrated? First of all, we'll show you how he made up the time and now a position on Metcalf. Take us through this, Jeff.
Well, this is that single just before the finish, and Villopoto just charges into it a little bit harder, little more sense of urgency, and that main line on the rider's left where Metcalf was had a few more kickers coming into that. So Villopoto choosing good lines and taking advantage of that.
Okay, so solid points and all that for Villopoto, and you mentioned, though, that these guys really aren't happy unless they're on the top step of the box winning races. How long can Villopoto be mired like this, taking thirds, fourths, whatever, while Reed and Dungey are gone before he starts getting frustrated?
You have to get it together by midway point. We get to Redbud.
Okay.
That seems to mark the the late season push, and so if you can make it to Red Bud, even if you're a few points down, if you can start winning by then you can, tear it up at the end of the season. But right now, it's not bad.
Well, you see the gap that they would make up on him today. We're looking at, somewhere around 10 points, depending on how this finishes up, that they might gain on Villopoto. The reason we show you this is because the overall score, the winner of the race today will be who does the best in 2 motos. And there would be a tie between Reed and Dungey, but the tiebreaker is the better finish in Moto 2. So they're collecting series championship points in every moto, but they're fighting also for the overall for the weekend. These guys were tied. We're talking about Reed and Dungey coming into the race on points, and they might be tied by the time the day is over. That is close competition. Villopoto hopes to be a factor before this one is over. He needs to go after Millsaps first. He's closing the gap. We're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Lucas Oil A-May Pro Motocross Championship Racing. We'll give you some of the highlights of history, the 1981 massacre at Saddleback.
A recovering and weaker Hurricane roared back to full strength in 1981 at Saddleback, if only to prove a point.
If Howerton would have left me alone and not pissed me off, he'd have won that day. I've been off for a year. No way to beat him. He starts screwing with me. Banging in, passing me in chicken spots. I don't know if I flipped him off, he flipped me off, whatever. It got ugly, and finally I had enough of it. So I said, okay, that's the end of this. We go over a double jump, he gets set in the corner. I T-boned this sorry bastard, hard as I could. He wobbles, doesn't go down. I set up and bang him again. Totally intentionally, I admit it. I will break his leg. I'm sick of him now. Finally falls off, tries to grab me on the way down. I just go, whoop. Really affected me because I couldn't even concentrate on the race. I let him back by. I don't even want to race with him anymore. I'm sick of him. The hardest 45-minute race of my life was the next moto. I beat him fair and square on a tub of 30 pounds heavier than what he was riding.
Okay, folks, if you're new to the sport, Bob Hurricane Hanna was maybe the original motocross superstar, and it was brash riding and talking like that made him the legend that he is.
Sometimes you wish that he just wouldn't hold back, and he'd really tell it like it is.
Yes, he's very PC. Here is Andrew Short, one of the home state favorites, makes his racing home here in Texas. Tough day for Shorty today. Yeah,
Shorty actually in that first moto, the reason he was so far back is he actually went down, bumped his head a little bit, said he was a little bit silly, but he kept pushing through the pack and, ended up 15th. So it's going to be a little bit of a disappointment. Right now, he's got a decent ride inside the top 10 running 9th, but days like this just never seem to end. These seem like the longest motos of your career.
Here he is going for the number 7 spot, battling with Weimer.
Yeah, watch right here, Weimer, who was up front, starting to lose a little bit of time. Watch Short with a little local knowledge, says, you know what, I'm going to take the short line and take 7th place.
And pulling away a bit, as you can see now from Weimer. Dungey continues to lead over Reed and Millsaps. And Millsaps holding his own against Ryan Villopoto, who's 4th. Metcalf 5th, Ricky Dietrich 6th. This man, Andrew Short, 7th. Then it is Weimer in 8th, Wyndham and Christian Craig round out the top 10.
Well, now for KTM, they chose to ride this 350 4-stroke new bike, and it's at this point, late in the second moto, 6 minutes plus 2 laps left, is where they think that machine in the future will really benefit the riders.
Christian Craig keeping the heat on Kevin Wyndham. We saw Craig between motos, said he didn't feel that bad, and he obviously is feeling pretty darn good because he goes around Wyndham. What'd you say about don't wilt?
Don't wilt. Well, he's keeping it together, and look how fluid. I mean, he really has a cool style and a cool technique. And like I said, we spoke to him. I said, hey, are you fatigued? Are you going to recover? He says, yeah. He goes, I was pretty tired after the first moto, but I feel good, and I'm ready for the second moto. And so far, so good. And I tell you, he rides really, efficient and loose on the bike. It's when you ride tight and you're holding on and you're tensed up everywhere, that's when it just seems to zap the energy out of your body. And you just cannot train hard enough to ever be in shape if you don't ride fluid and smooth.
Just saw Ty Simmons, a young Australian, go by in 11th, and 12th here is Les Smith, the replacement rider for Justin Brayton on the Muscle Milk Toyota Joe Gibbs Racing machine. Basically got the call on Monday night, so not much time to test. There he is on the right side of the Yamaha. Right behind him is Michael Byrne. So Les Smith getting an opportunity here with a great team, going after the JDR J-Star KTM man, 18-year-old Australian. That is Ty Simmons, battled just outside the top 10.
And I tell you, I've been watching Les Smith all day long, qualifying practice. He looks really comfortable right away on this bike, and him riding on the other bikes on the 250s for the last year and a half seemed like he was always kind of struggling with something. But with this bike, this is more of this style and the technique that I came to know from him when he was an amateur, and he looks fit for this bike here.
Oh, and he might squeeze off Simmons. Simmons did everything he could to get him. Wow. Well, they tried to ride a wide bike, but it wasn't wide enough, and Smith got through.
I wish I could somehow put into words how difficult that whoop section, the jump section is before the finish. I mean, the images, these guys make it look easy. I'm telling you what that does to your body, how much core strength you have to have, and just it. Oh, I'm feeling it in the broadcast booth here. I'm getting tired already.
Yeah, although it's 65 degrees in our booth. I wonder how Aaron Biggs feels outside in the heat. Meanwhile, two generations of Australians here going at it. You got Simmons, who, like we said, is a teenager. Byrne, who is over age 30, battling for 12th and 13th.
Well, and the burner here. Uh-oh, two's down.
Wow. Big shake-up there. This could loom large in points at the end of the year if this gets close. Filippo not quite able to get back up to speed there either.
Well, I'll tell you who is up to speed, and that's my buddy Michael Byrne here. Look at him starting to get comfortable here on this Suzuki. Hasn't had much time to test and practice. This is his first year with this team, so they're trying to get their setting done. But just like Les Smith, I really like what I'm seeing out of Byrne's technique, and he's really fluid on the bike. He seems like everything's starting to come together for him.
And Simmons also one of those KTM 350s. He's one of the bigger guys out here, but he says he likes that bike. And the fans like what they're watching. It's a fun Memorial Day weekend race here in Texas. Great racing here. 450 class of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing. And two Australians duking it out. 942 on the orange bike, Ty Simmons. 26 yellow bike Suzuki is Michael Byrne, and they want to put those bikes in the same exact spot, Jeff.
And I tell you what, Michael Byrne lives down in Tampa, Florida now. Him and Reed train together, and he says it's so hot and so humid down there in Florida that it makes coming to this race seem like a cool afternoon of motocross racing. So this is kind of one of those situations where your hard work and the hard days are during the week. Try to make race day easier.
Man, it is not easy to get by Simmons. He has proven stubborn for Les Smith, now for Michael Byrne.
Ooh, got the hops, did not get the right sequence. That's because he had to go to the right through that little dog leg, and there's one extra jump on the right-hand side. He pulled up next to Simmons and just couldn't make it past Simmons. Holding tough.
Holding tough is Ryan Dungey. Also, he has a big lead now over Chad Reed, 21 seconds. So way to respond for Dungey after taking a beating from Reed last week.
And look just to the back of Dungey. I saw Kyle Chisholm, who took a really hard hit in the first moto. Good to see him back on the bike.
Progressive whole shot replay here. That's Metcalf sweeping, and he's going to get it. Take us through that.
All the way through. He just really gated. I mean, about 50 feet out of the gate, it was nothing but that yellow fender way out front. Now we have another yellow fender that's way out front, but this time it's got the #1 plate, the red #1 plate, which he will sure to keep here if he is able to finish this moto off and win the overall, the moto and the overall.
Yeah, we had a little bit of controversy coming into this one. Chad Reed won the race overall last weekend, but he and Dungey tied on points. If you saw our grid earlier, they both had a first and a second in the two races last weekend, so they were tied in the series standings. So they both have that red number plate background, signifying that they are the series leader. Reed said, hey, I won the race. I should be the only one to hold the plate. Well, guess what? At our next race at High Point, Pennsylvania, they'll still be tied if it ends like this, and they'll still both have the red plate.
That's what the rule book says right here.
Look at this battle, Metcalf and Dietrich. You know Dietrich's going to be strong late in the race. He's used to racing 2-3 hours. off-road, 30-minute moto, nothing for this guy.
Yeah, this is nothing here. 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Dietrich, though, he is really good at motocross. He may be able to go through the trees and through the woods and the desert and all that stuff, but when it comes to this, I mean, he has been exceptional. He's been a great add to this Valley Motorsports Rockstar Energy Drink Yamaha team. And late in these motos, when it's hot and nasty, it's when he really seems to excel.
And by the way, while you watch these two battle it out for 4th and 5th, they too have gotten around Ryan Villopoto. You saw Villopoto fell down a couple of laps ago, so now Villopoto losing more points. He is 6th at the moment. As far as the overall today, again, Dungey and Reed would be tied with 2-1 and 1-2. The tiebreaker goes to the better finish in the second moto. So Ryan Dungey is looking at an overall win in Texas unless disaster strikes. And you look at the countdown clock top of the screen. Not much time for that to happen.
Yeah, and just I seen it across the top of the screen there with the running order at the very end of it. I saw 36 with Porcel. Tommy Hahn, of course, is out. So Moto Concepts Yamaha just really having a tough day after some good qualifying efforts by their riders.
Here is Dungey trying to polish this one off. Porcel rode very strong at the beginning of our first moto today. Was running second and then pulled off. Wasn't comfortable. They've made major changes to the bike this time. I'll talk about that.
Well, they're going to get to do it now because he's not even running, so they can already start washing the bike and making some more changes.
Said that they changed the offset of the triple clamps, which extended the bike out a little bit, and didn't pay off in this moto. So Porcel is struggling. Ryan Dungey is not. Let's see if Dungey can hold on and win his first overall of the year. Ryan Dungey has a big lead here late in the second moto, but he is slowing dramatically and I believe coming to a stop. Jeff Emig, it's over. The bike has stopped and Ryan Dungey's race win, points lead, moto win, it's all about to go out the door. Where is Chad Reed, who is second? Where is he? Still has not caught Dungey.
See a couple of the Honda technicians run over. There's your new leader.
Unbelievable. Now, we mentioned mechanical troubles for a lot of riders so far this year, but nothing that dramatic. Dungey had a 25-second lead, and Chad Reed is going to inherit this one.
Wow, I tell you, when things are going your way, they're just going your way. And let's not forget, Team Honda on all of the bikes, on the whole team. See Chad Reed looking back like, wait, was that Dungey?
Dungey, yeah.
Team Honda chose to put brand new engines, newly rebuilt engines in for each moto. I don't know if Suzuki made the same decision, but the bike has expired. Engine problems for Ryan Dungey and Chad Reed now.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Last year, it seemed like anything that could go right for Dungey. Well, let's go down to Aaron. What have you got on the number one?
I spoke with Mike Gossler, Ryan Dungey's mechanic, and asked him if they made any fine-tuning in between motos. He said only thing they did was one minor click with suspension, and that's just something they do every moto, but nothing was changed whatsoever. And at this point, they might have wished they did.
Wow, and you can see the frustration on Dungey's face, the sense of urgency. He watches points go by when he has just an unbelievable ride, dominating Moto 2, slip away. And when you do that much work during the week, when you train and you just suffer through all of that, and you're putting together this type of ride, those moments, the moment that he's experiencing right now, are so frustrating.
It's on the pit board for Reed from his mechanic Lars. Dungey out. You talk about hard work during the week, hard work during the race. Dungey led it for 30 minutes in the heat on a rough track. He outdueled Chad Reed. It's now over, and you alluded to it before. When things are going your way, they seem to roll like that. Last year, it seemed like Dungey and Suzuki could do nothing wrong, and now every time they're building momentum, it goes the other way.
And I tell you what, we're not going to have to worry about the controversy of who runs the red plate now, because 22, if this bike makes it all the way, he's going to be your all-out points leader.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So, Chad Reed, got about half a lap to go. He's got to be as surprised as anyone. And started out the year as really as a true privateer, was doing it with help from a pro circuit and a couple of, there's Dungey. Now Reed's got the full factory Team Honda help. They had mechanical troubles in the first moto at Wyndham, so it's equal opportunity this series. But for Dungey, this is going to be a major hole of points to dig out of.
Well, if there's anybody that can do it, it's Dungey. He showed here late in the second moto when it's hot and all that he was up to the task. I think Chad Reed is right there on pace. They obviously were going to split motos again here today, and it looked like we were going to have a points tie at the end of this. But, hey, this is part of it. 24 motos, the most grueling sport in the world. And with the best riders in the world, we call it AMA Motocross.
And you might say, man, how could they let this happen? But it is impossible to replicate this type of heat and intensity when you're testing these motors. You really don't know until you go racing.
Yeah, these four-stroke engines just run at such a higher temperature. There's so many more moving parts and so many things that can fail as opposed to the old two-strokes. Chad Reed, just like last week, he's keep looking back like, wait a second, am I going to win this thing again?
Wow. That should move Millsaps up to second, and Ricky Dietrich might just be on the podium by the time this one is over. Checkered flag coming out. Chad Reed wins in Freestone, and he did it thanks to bad luck for Ryan Dungey. So here's the hero, your winner, and there is, unfortunately, the zero as far as points go. Ryan Dungey and his mechanic, Mike Gosler, and I cannot remember the last time in an outdoor motocross race one of Mike Gosler's bikes didn't make it to the finish line. He is one of the all-time great wrenches. Chad Reed wins. Maximum points today. Incredible turn of events. That's why they run the races. What more can you say, Gosler? What more can you say, Dungey? We'll be back next week. Welcome back. Dramatic change of events here. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship from Texas. Chad Reed has won this race. That might not be a surprise. It's the way he won it that will shock you, and we'll show you it in our Lucas Oil race recap.
Off the start, it was Rockstar Makita Suzuki's number 24, Brett Metcalf. But on the first lap, Dungey comes out with some serious aggression and just blisters out in this moto. And then
he's got
problems with the bike. The Suzuki expires. Problems with the engine. He tries kicking it, but to no avail. Dungey would not finish Moto 2, and he was a lap and a quarter away from the win.
So Chad Reed was running second the entire race, inherits the lead and takes the win. Looks down at his bike to make sure that was still running. It held together. Definitely tough conditions to race in today with the heat and humidity and all that strain on the motors at this speed. Reed wins, Millsaps and Ricky Dietrich up on the podium. Christian Craig bounces back. 2 solid motos today for him in 7th. Wyndham 8th, Byrne and Nick Way ran out the top 10. Let's send it down to Aaron with our winner.
What a day for Chad Reed. Even though, Chad, you ended up having a crash on your own, did it surprise you at all costs there when you saw Dungey down? What was going through your mind?
No, I saw him down, and I don't think he actually crashed. I think something happened to the bike, so that's a bummer, man. He was on at that one, and we were looking like we were going to have a good moto, and I just made a mistake. I changed up a line a little bit. It was a little wetter than I anticipated. The thing just kind of went full lock and then just threw me sideways, and I crashed, so little bummer. And then after that, I had a little bit of, put a bit of a spurt in, but it was just too strong, and with crashing, I just decided it was smart to ride it out, and as it turned out, I went 1-1 on the day, but Dungey won that one in my mind, man. Good job. I hate to see a tough competitor go out like that.
Yesterday, you and the crew, you guys went fishing. How much does that help going out and having a little bit of fun, taking off some of the pressure?
My wife said when we were going racing in the outdoors, she's like, you're only doing it, and I'm only going to support it if you're going to go have fun. Don't worry about the results. Just go have fun and enjoy racing. That's what it's been about in 2011, and won a roll. So feels good. I felt like I had the pace. I had good starts all day, and just hats off to the 22 Motorsports, all the guys at American Honda. Schiff, Fox, man, Mitch Payton at Pro Circuit, and like I said, just have a blast, and I feel like I'm doing that.
Congratulations on having fun and letting it pay off.
So Chad Reed undefeated early here in 2011. Here are the other events he'll try to win. Upcoming schedule brought to you by Toyota. We'll be on NBC from Mount Morris, Pennsylvania on June 12th, 4 p.m. Eastern. Then Budds Creek in Mechanicsville, Maryland, also back on speed. June 18th, next week, Mile High in Colorado. And then Redbud for July 4th weekend on NBC. Well, the Reed fans got what they wanted today. A victory out of him. Took a little bit of luck. Hey,
sometimes in racing, you need to be lucky, right?
Hey, you'd rather be lucky than good when you get 2 moto wins like this. We'll be back with more from Texas. Stay with us. Welcome back to your second moto coverage here on Speed, and a bit of a shakeup. We thought Ricky Dietrich had taken third in this moto. Turns out that there was a transponder scoring malfunction for Brett Metcalf, who actually did finish third in that moto. Once they crossed the finish line, then we knew that Metcalf had gotten third. But in front of them, Davey Millsap's in second. Aaron, take it away.
A very strong ride for Davey Millsaps today. Davey, after coming back from injury like you had last year and be able to overcome this and make it up to the podium on one of the most grueling tracks ever, what does this do for your confidence moving forward?
You know, it was a tough race, and first moto I got first, and then fourth, and then this moto I got second. So, you know, Dungey went down a couple laps ago, so that helped me out a bunch. But you know, I'll take it when I can get it, and I just can't thank James GR, Muscle Milk, Toyota enough, and you know, just everyone's been behind me, my mechanic, you know, my wife, everyone. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on a job well done today.
All right, well done by Davey Millsaps. A big shakeup in the standings here because we thought Reed and Dungey were going to be tied. Dungey's bike breaks, so suddenly Reed gains 25 full points on him, so now Dungey's going to be digging out of a big hole. But he did that earlier in the year in the Supercross Series.
Yeah, he certainly did, and you know, it's disappointing, but like I mentioned earlier, it's a long summer. A lot can happen, and you take those points whenever you can get them, and Chad Reed definitely capitalized on that.
Another guy scored some points today, Brett Metcalf. Aaron, you got him?
Scoring some serious points today. Brett, what a week it was for you. You did the road trip all the way here. You tried to get yourself acclimated, but didn't have the parts in time. Are you happy with today's overall result?
Well, yeah, I'm happy with the last moto. It's been a rough start to the season. We had a lot of crashes. We finally worked some stuff out thanks to the Rockstar Nikita Suzuki crew. Just awesome, you know, Thor, Parts Unlimited, Scott, Alpine Stars, Don Joy, Edneys. Everyone, thanks a lot, and happy with that.
Today's track was such a rough one. It was really one line. How hard was it to make a pass with coming back through the pack?
It was a little difficult. You really had to be patient. I learned that in the first moto by crashing twice. In the second moto, I made amends of that, so it was a little better, but you got to be patient and not push too hard. It was a rough track. Obviously, the humidity here in Texas is always a killer, so happy to get through and get a break here.
You made it through a rough one. Job well done. Brett, take us through also your injury. You made it back. Are you 100% recovered at this point?
Yeah, it feels good now. You know, it took a little while to get going, but out there today, second moto, no problems with my wrist. So it's full steam ahead from here, and no more putting it on the ground.
Well, boys, I think these guys are more than happy to have this Texas round behind them.
So Brett Metcalf had the long road trip here. He hit a deer with the motorhome. They, as Aaron alluded to, couldn't get all the parts here in time to build a practice bike, so he didn't really get to do much riding. So rough week for Medi. Finishes it up on the podium.
Hey,
so
building blocks for success, that's for sure.
Fuel your passion for motorcycle racing with Speed Motorcycle Text Alerts powered by Yamaha. Get the latest moto racing results and breaking news as they become available sent right to your phone. Text MOTO to Speed 3 for the alerts right now. Well, Chad Reed, last year just couldn't get the momentum, couldn't get the ball rolling. This year, he can't help himself. He's winning races even when he's not trying to.
Yeah, I mean, that's some great images there, you know, the thrill of victory, agony of defeat for Dungey. Some of the riders that I was really impressed with today was Millsaps, Christian Craig, obviously, Tommy Hahn, and Les Smith, actually, with a couple of pretty good rides.
We'll have a weekend off, and then we're back to racing from Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, just south of Pittsburgh. Fuel TV always has the first motos in this series live, so that'll be 1 p.m. Eastern. And Speed will have the 250 class Moto 2 coverage on June the 11th, Saturday night. So Chad Reed, man, he's smiling. He's got a lot of fans here. Just an incredible season so far for Reed. This is this guy who was on the verge of retirement 6 months ago, and here he is winning races and leading the championship.
Hey, I'll say it. Said it last week. I'll say it again. Attitude is everything. Chad Reed is in the right place. He's riding for the right reasons, and it shows his passion for the sport. And we still got 10 more races to go.
Oh yeah, you're going to hear it from the rest of these guys. Villopoto, Dungey, Metcalf, Millsaps. There are going to be some challengers for race wins.